welcome to Recollections May Vary, a royal recap, and I am here with Kevin O'Sullivan, the star of the Political Asylum with Kevin O'Sullivan. And occasionally I get to join you on that program.
You certainly do, twice a week, without fail.
We've had a wild week based on these Harry and Meghan leaks, the Royal Reconciliation Summit leaks, and I feel like we have to kick off with it at the beginning. I want to ask you, in this week's Palace Confidential, the Daily Mail's Charlotte Griffiths, she's the one that broke this story, and she's talking about Prince Harry going to Angola for the landmines. She says the story in the Mail on Sunday was released just before his trip as a lead up to it. And the way that she phrased this explanation online by royal watchers is being interpreted as the Sussexes leaked the story and they wanted it out there. I'd love to know if you agree with that based on those lines, that it was kind of a lead off to help promote this visit or something.
I think there's nothing else you can do but agree with what Charlotte says 100%. I mean, we know the king's circle, his courtiers are famously discreet. You don't get leaks from King Charles's court, from his palaces, from his staff. Do you get leaks from Montecito, from Harry and Meghan's camp? Yeah, you do, don't you? Get a hell of a lot. So, you know, who's it going to be? It's going to be from their side of the fence. Now, the fact of the matter was, you know, kudos to Charlotte Griffiths. She got a great scoop, but the details and the comprehensive nature of that story were just ridiculous. You know, I mean, right down to the point where Meredith Maines, their head of communications in Montecito, was pictured getting out of the taxi outside the private members club.
Somebody needs to know what that woman looks like. Yeah, somebody needs to know exactly who they're looking for, because that is not a mainstream public figure.
Yeah, let me just sort of put the case. Now, this is just my speculation.
Yeah.
Now, after Meredith was photographed getting out of the taxi and going into this Royal Overseas League Club, which is a stone's throw from Charles's London home, Clarence House, right in the centre of London. After she was photographed getting out of the taxi, extraordinary, so somebody's waiting to take that picture. This guy Liam Maguire, who is the Sussex's London PR publicist, and Tobin Andre, who's the King's right-hand man, all kind of conveniently gather on the balcony outside having a drink. Now, you can see that balcony from Green Park. Green Park is the big park in the centre of London, which actually sort of spills towards Piccadilly from Buckingham Palace. Very, very exclusive area. But this is one of the rare places where from the park you can see this balcony. So a photographer standing there gets these amazing pictures of the Sussex's PRs and the King's man. Now, so either they leaked it or the King's man did. And I'm telling you right now, it wasn't the King's man. So make of that what you will. The detail in that story was ludicrous. And if Harry and Meghan are the source of this story, and they thought that was a good lead up to Harry's trip to Africa and future reconciliation between Harry and Meghan and Harry's family, they've got another thing coming. That ruined any chance of rapprochement. I don't know what goes on in their heads. If Harry thought it was a good idea, typically dim, dumb, stupid and wrong. Now, if it was Meghan's idea, I can only conclude that she wants to ruin and sabotage the chance of peace between Harry and his family, because we are hearing that Harry has sadly accepted that if there is going to be rapprochement with his... Well, no, he's sadly accepted that if there is going to be rapprochement with his dad and William, very outside chance, by the way, it will not include Meghan. He's going to have to leave Meghan back in America. Now, Meghan will hate that.
Yeah.
And so it could be that she deliberately sabotaged this.
Can I tell you what my thought process was throughout this process? Okay. Why don't I use the word process one more time? But But
That's good. Process.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Process.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Throughout this, I see this headline, I read it, and I immediately go Sussex's. Immediately, it reads like a Sussex's press release. Then, within a few hours, word spreads that Harry is livid, that these details are out, that the Sussexes did not leak it. And I thought, well, that's a pretty aggressive reaction, or it's pretty aggressive to put this out there so soon. And I also saw it originate, I believe, from the Daily Mail, although it could have been the Telegraph, which Harry and Meghan work with both of them. I believe they've worked with both at some point or another.
Certainly the Telegraph has good lines of communication.
Yes. So I start to go, okay, well, in my mind, I'm trying to justify what would be in it for King Charles. And I think I even said to you, and you dismissed it pretty quickly, but I think I say to you, okay, well, what if in the grand scheme of things, the royal family decides to leak the meeting to get the negative reaction that they did receive, so that they can say to Harry and Meghan, look, we gave it our best shot, but you saw the negative reaction, and we can't pursue these negotiations or whatever any further. So I have said that out loud, but I think the conclusion I've come to is that either Harry doesn't know his wife leaked it, or Prince Harry's being dishonest with us. I believe this is leaked by the Sussexes.
Yeah, the royals don't work like that. They just wouldn't do that. Look, for most of the royal family, Harry and Meghan, and certainly for most of the royal staff, Harry and Meghan just don't really matter that much. They're an irritation 5,000 miles away on the west coast of America. So they're not going to go to that extent to try and sort of create this false narrative of peace talks then going. They're just not going to do that. So it's come from the Sussexes. I'm in no doubt of that. It could be that neither Meghan nor Harry knew about it. Somehow or other, their PR team thought this was a good idea. If so, as I said to you last night, I'm not hiring them as my PRs. That's a terrible thing to do. It could be that Harry, when we learned pretty quickly afterwards that Harry was livid, maybe he was. Maybe he had no idea. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Maybe this was all a Meghan plot, and that Meghan set it all up, through Meredith Maines. Either way, there is no way in my mind that this story came from anywhere but the Sussex side of the fence. And whoever was behind it, I don't know what they were thinking. Either, as we just discussed, it was a deliberate attempt to sabotage any peace talks, or for some reason or other, they thought it would help peace talks. But whoever thought this could help peace talks, they must have a screw loose, because that, it was always a really, really vanishingly small chance of a reconciliation between Harry and the King, and between Harry and William, I would say no chance. But any chance of this working out was ruined when it appeared on the front page of the Mail on Sunday at the weekend.
Fox News is reporting, and I had to push back on this last night, that the King did not include Prince William in this as a way to show him that he is in charge, or a way to tell William, I'm in charge. And it was almost... Look, we don't talk about it very often, and I try to avoid it because out of respect, and because I don't think that it's maybe still the situation. But in the past, the King and Prince William they butted heads. They had, in the past, we know that he was probably closer to Prince Harry than he was Prince William, because Prince William's very independent and strong-minded. But I do not believe...
Prince William's also quite
clever, intelligent, smart.
And Harry's pretty dumb, and the King is not famously intellectual
Oh.
either. So perhaps there's more of a meeting of minds between Charles and... Well, the King was the worst qualified student ever to get into Cambridge University.
Well, God love him.
It's amazing what doors being a member of the royal family opened.
Exactly. Meghan Markle loves those doors.
Yeah.
But I don't believe this line from some of the media that the King excluded William to kind of put him in his place. Do you have a reaction to that line?
No, you see, the King isn't like that. I mean, I was being a bit unfair to him. He's not a stupid man, but he's not, massively brilliant or anything, but I think he's a decent man. He's a soft-hearted man. He wants to love his kids, and the fact that he's not talking to Harry now is a measure of just how badly Harry has behaved, because the king isn't like that, but he now has got to the point where he just doesn't trust his youngest son at all, quite rightly, obviously. I give you the Mail on Sunday. Did the king somehow set up this meeting to teach William a lesson? No, it's just, he wouldn't operate like that. I think that William probably didn't know anything about it. Look at what this might be. It's Harry and Meghan, or maybe Meghan, just saying to Meredith Mains, get in touch with somebody at the palace. Let's get some talks going. Particularly Harry saying that. Meredith Mains picks up the phone, gets hold of Tobias Andrews. How about a drink in London? We could have a chat. Now, Toby and Andre is just going to go, yeah, okay then. I think it's not much more than that.
No, that's a really good point.
Did the king even know?
The king did know.
Okay.
But I think that it's good that you, because Valentine Lowe kind of put me in my place there with that too, and he was like, "This is not a royal reconciliation."
No, it's not. It's not. It never was to be. But Charlotte Griffiths made that clear.
Yeah.
This was, extremely
early negotiations,
early stage talks. In other words, I would describe what happened at that club at the weekend as talks about talks.
I know.
Do you see what I mean?
Pathetic.
Yeah, it's a no hope. Well, I think it was pretty much a no hoper then, but after it appeared all over the front page of the papers, it was a total no hoper. It's a goner, Yeah.
Well, let's talk about our favorite subject, Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
Did you laugh out loud when you saw all of the posts circulating over the last 48 hours that she vaguely wished Queen Camilla a happy birthday with this rosé post? It was like, happy birthday to my girlies, and it was a case of rosé, and the internet was like, is she my girlies near and far? And everybody was like, is she sending this case of rosé to Queen Camilla? Hell to the no. Absolutely, she was not sending I mean, how ridiculous was anybody to lean in that direction? I
think it is pretty ridiculous. The chances are that Meghan might be trying to sort of cock a snoop at Camilla. Ha ha ha! It's your birthday, but hey, I'm going to steal the limelight. You know what she's like.
Oh gosh,
here's a case of my incredibly expensive, incredibly strong,
gasoline,
not very gasoline rosé, which isn't very nice apparently, unless you want to get very, very drunk. I mean, people giving that wine, Chateau Meg, a hard time. I've got to say, it sounds all right to me, because I always think
you like to get tore
up. Well, if
you're
going to have a drink, you might as well know about it. But 14,
you might as well black out.
14.5% alcohol content. I mean, that's rocket fuel.
Oh my gosh.
It's ridiculous.
Well, so one of the reasons why I thought this story was more interesting than it is, laughing out loud, going like, okay, obviously it wasn't for Queen Camilla, is not the story. The story is it went to Pilates instructor Heather Dorack and Jamie Kern.
Jamie Kern.
Yeah. But in Jamie Kern Lima's post on Instagram, she hides her card from Meghan. And the reason this is significant is because Jamie Kern Lima accidentally blew the lid on Meghan using her HRH title, continuing to use this HRH title that she told the Queen she would stop using. And Meghan's team pushed back and said, well, she's not using it to push products. Yeah. You're selling the jam that you sent this woman. Yeah. You are quietly using this because Jamie Kern Lima is saying, look at what HRH Meghan Duchess of Sussex sent me, and that's available on a website today. Yes, you're using that. So do you think Jamie Kern Lima realized her mistake when she hid the new card that she received from Meghan, or do you think that do you think Meghan's still using a similar card?
I think Meghan will still be using that card. I think Jamie Lee Kern probably made a mistake. She didn't know, because Meghan wants people to think she's HRH.
Yeah.
And you just said that she told the Queen, or Harry and Meghan told the Queen, that they wouldn't use HRH. It doesn't really go like that. You can only use HRH if the sovereign allows you to. The sovereign took away their right to use HRH.
And
So,
was kind not to formally strip them of it the way
Yeah.
that Diana was stripped of it.
Yeah.
Like that was the Queen giving them the benefit
Yeah.
of the doubt and trusting them, which was her
was
first
big,
mistake.
That's her first big mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's disgraceful the way she uses that. And Meghan, I mean, we've talked about this many times, but Meghan and Harry, particularly Meghan, have confirmed all the worst nightmare fears of the late Queen, Charles, the whole royal family, that they would go to America and cash in on their royal status. Now, the late Queen will be spinning in her grave about this. I mean, this to her would be, the crime of the century, to use the British royal status, the British royalty, the titles, the traditions of the royal family of Britain to make money, to sell stuff, is disgraceful. I mean, you've got to have that caveat about the Duchy of Cornwall. Of course, Charles, when he was Prince of Wales.
Yeah, but
But they do that. That brings in money into the royal household.
and
So.
a significant amount of the products they sell goes to charity.
Exactly right. So, using your royal status to make money for yourself, I mean, for the late Queen, she would be shocked and dismayed by that. And of course, by the time she sadly passed away, she already was shocked and dismayed by the way they were cashing in and their behaviour generally.
And what I think is, I feel like with the HRH card that we initially saw from Jamie Kern-Lima, Jamie has this group of elite friends, and Meghan knew she was going to take a picture of it, and she knew that she was going to share it with people like Oprah, some of the people that have been on Jamie's podcast, like Hoda Kotb from the Today Show. She's no longer there, but she's the one that interviewed Prince Harry over the Invictus Games, where he said that he wanted to protect his grandmother. She's sending them to these other people. So Meghan wants to impress this core group. And so while she might not have a billboard outside that says HRH Duchess of Sussex, she wants to make sure that these people, these important people, know that she is HRH. And to me, I still think that that's a liability to the royal family.
Yeah, and she wants people to think, oh, she's royal. They've got to look up to her, the Duchess, HRH. She's not HRH, but it's not working. Did you see that Oprah? Was just like kind of laughing at her. So, Sussex. So, you can't do what Meghan does. Is she demands respect. She demands it. And that's different to commanding respect. So you command respect, you earn respect. People respect you because you earn it. She just stands there and says, I'm HRH, you must respect me, you must look up to me, you must be part of my circle. And, Meghan is finding out that life isn't like that. In fact, even these people she's trying to impress, look at Oprah, they're laughing at her. We're laughing, the world kind of laughs at her, really. But then again, you start laughing at her, and it's not long before she does something that really annoys you and you stop laughing.
Right.
She's a strange woman.
She is. It's like Tom Quinn said. He talked about just the differences in Meghan and Princess Diana. Diana grew up around the elite. She could see the Queen's estate from her home when she was a little girl. She used to play hide and seek with Prince Andrew, and
never a good idea, by the way.
Oh, Lord. But she grew up around all of the pomp. So she
was part of the circle.
Right.
Part of the
She was
set,
very down to earth and loving towards some of her employees, and had emotional connections to some. Would go plop down with them and say, do you want a Coke? And just enjoy their company. Let's go get some ice cream. And he said that Meghan, there was like this sense of urgency from her that you had to respect her. You had,
Yeah, that's it. That's
yeah,
it.
and it was, so she was there. She was demeaning towards some of
That's
her
exactly
employees.
right. You see, if you take someone like Diana, do you know that phrase, to the manor born? So she was to the palace born, if you like. She was from the highest strata of British society, as you say, rubbing shoulders with the royal family, very titled. Now, people like that, uh, they're not nervous about their status. They don't have to talk down to their staff, to the servants. They don't have to shout at them or anything like that. As you just said, Diana, whilst they would have called her mom and all that, and they would have done her bidding, everything she wanted, she was very much in charge. But, she treated them with a friendly way, happy to get them a Coke, let's go out and have a drink, that kind of thing.
And then Meghan wants praise for
Yeah,
ordering a taco truck.
Well, you see, so in
her
other words,
employees.
but Diana and most of the royal family, they're relaxed in their skin, whereas Meghan's the kind of person who shouts at waiters in restaurants, and anybody who is working for her, under her, if you like. We know she just bullies. She's not nice to. She snaps at them. She's got to remind them at every stage that she's in charge.
Superior.
I'm your superior, which is why she has this terrible reputation for being the most awful bully to her staff. Not nice.
I met a couple here from Montecito, and they said they're visiting here, and they said whenever Meghan, because they said they see Meghan sometimes in Montecito at restaurants with girlfriends, and they said the staff is terrified, and it's hush hush, like Meghan's here, shh, like Meghan's over there, and it's they're uncomfortable and they're frazzled and worried because they're so afraid of upsetting her. And I imagine that it's because she's high maintenance. I don't think that I think you develop that reputation,
Yeah, but you're exactly right. I mean, it's one of my bugbears in life. I hate people who treat waiters badly, and I bet she does. I bet she does. They're just doing their job, Don't shout at them. Don't treat them like, snivelling servants, And I bet she does. I bet she shouts at them. That's an interesting story.
I know. I always, anytime I hear anybody that says they're anywhere near Santa Barbara, I'm like, tell me more.
Yeah.
What's it like sharing a restaurant with Meghan Markle? What if you could delay your next 2 mortgage payments? That's right. Imagine putting those 2 payments in your pocket and finally getting a little breathing room. It's possible when you call American Financing today. If you're feeling stretched by everyday expenses, groceries, gas, bills piling up, you're not alone. Most Americans are putting these expenses on credit cards, and there doesn't seem to be a way out. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off that debt. You need to call American Financing today before you get to a point where you can't make those payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate debt, all without upfront fees. And their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise. It's fast, it's simple, and it could save your budget this summer. Call before it's too late. 866-887-1201. That's 866-887-1201, or visit americanfinancing.net/unfiltered. You mentioned Meghan becoming like the butt of the joke, and I think that that's happening today as the story circulating that she failed to crack Netflix's top 300. 5.3 million times was how many times her program was viewed, despite all of the parodies on TikTok and Instagram and all the hype. I mean, some people in the comments are always telling us, like, you're promoting her. Whether you like it or not, you're promoting her. Well, despite promoting her, she failed to crack the top 100. 383 is where she was at.
383.
So, look, listen to this. Data released last year showed that Meghan's TV drama Suits, Suits is watched 9 times more than the original Harry and Meghan docu-series. So that means that Suits is like a billion times bigger than their one commercial success.
That was, I mean, their documentary series, by their standards, did quite well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when they were in their successful territory. You know, as we were saying at the time, and when they were giving that Oprah interview and then that horrible series, Harry and Meghan, in which they poured a bucket over the royal family, and actually, you know, they poured a bucket over everyone in Britain. They said we were all slave drivers, kind of thing. But that's their commercial territory. You know, insulting the royal family, calling the royal family racist, calling, you know, old-fashioned Britain a country full of racists, full of slave drivers. It's a country based on slavery and all that kind of stuff. Absolute claptrap. We were the people who abolished slavery,
Yes.
the first people to do it in the world. Thank you very much.
Nice little history lesson for you, Meghan Markle.
Yeah, exactly right. That was their. That's when they're doing that though. People, you know, if I hear Harry and Meghan have made a series and they poured a bucket over the royal family, a new one, you know, I'd watch it.
Yeah.
But if I hear, oh, Meghan's made a series about
Freezing ice.
bees, honey, and how to freeze
Freezing water.
Yeah, how to freeze water. You know, no thanks. I got better things to do. I mean, that show, I mean, it's coming back in September, isn't it? I mean, but, you know, Netflix must be thinking, why? Let me tell you, the Meghan story.
We know why. Because Netflix is hoping that when things go south with Harry and Meghan, they'll get the scoop.
Yeah.
But I think about this all the time, probably more than I should. Do you ever think that Harry and Meghan regret giving Oprah that scoop? Because what was in it for them? They should have saved that for Spotify or for Netflix. That the fact that they gave that to Oprah, and then we see the lack of good content, successful content given to Spotify and Netflix. I wonder if they regret that at all. And sadly, I'm not saying because of them jeopardizing their relationship with the royal family, but because they have failed content-wise.
Well, watch that interview again. You ask, looking back, do they regret it? My bet, Meghan, not one bit. You know, that's where she kind of burst through on the fame game, you know. Watch that interview again. Harry was regretting it during the interview.
Yeah.
You can tell he was very, very uncomfortable. Yeah. He realised that this was the moment that he crossed the line. And you can see him shuffling around and thinking, oh my God, I'm calling my dad a racist. He knew that interview would explode his relationship with his family, would ruin it. And so you ask, does he regret it? He regretted it while it was happening. And does he regret it now? Yes, he does. But, you know, he's been so clearly he did that interview because Meghan said, let's do it. Everything he does is because of Meghan. Yeah. You reminded me last night when you were on my show that Meredith Maines, this excellent publicist of theirs, she's the one who organised that interview that Harry gave to the BBC about 6 weeks ago after he lost that case over here. Well, you know, when he spent millions of dollars trying to persuade the government to give him police protection, armed police protection when he comes here, when he doesn't deserve it. And he kept suing and suing again. The judge, he said, well, nobody told me that, you know.
I'd lose.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Well, apparently he doesn't watch this show.
So the end of the first case, he just lost. So he appealed. At the end of the second, of that appeal, he lost again. And the judge leant across his bench. He said, look, you know, let me give you a bit of advice. You know, just drop this. You are never going to win this case. It's legally hopeless. You're in a hopeless position. He appealed again.
Yeah.
And then he gives this interview. So nobody told me. Yes, they did.
Yes.
In fact, loads of people told him. So anyway, that was in the middle of that interview. But also, if you remember that interview, and if Meredith Maines thought that was a good moment, then again, I'm not hiring her as my publicist. And I could do with one, by the way. Seriously, in that interview, if you remember, he said that he basically accused his dad of wanting him dead. He said his father met shady individuals from the government in darkened rooms, and they discussed his future, and they want me dead. You know, they don't want me around. I mean, extraordinary nonsense.
Yeah.
Extraordinary
And
nonsense.
then says he misses his family and wants to reconcile. The contradictions.
Well, I think he's been sucked so far into Meghan's world that now he's capable of doing absurd things like that interview. That interview, you know, we talked about it a lot at the time. I mean, it made me worry for him, fear for his mental state. I mean, it was conspiracy theory city. The world's out to get me. Everybody hates me. Why do they, you know, it's like, give it up. And also, how did he go from being the happy-go-lucky guy that we used to know before he met Meghan to this miserable, angst-ridden, furious guy
Grouchy.
at war with the world, so upset with everything? What is wrong with him? You know, you're living in a bloody great palace.
You surf now.
Yeah, you go surfing. You know, you got all the
Pot's
time.
legal where you live.
Yeah,
Marijuana is legal.
You don't do any work. You've got all the time in the world to smoke dope. What are you moaning about? You know.
I just remembered something before we move on. There are stories circulating online that the meeting between the King's team and Harry and Meghan's team wasn't actually about a royal reconciliation, but was Harry and Meghan asking for money.
That's funny.
Do you have an opinion on that?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Unconfirmed reports, obviously. But
I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, how many times have I told you, Kinsey, going forward, their story is going to be financial. They are, at best, low-level millionaires living like high-flying billionaires. And there is going to be trouble ahead. And I think there are already signs of that. Already signs.
would Harry, based on the interview you just described and that resentment towards his father, and saying to the BBC cameras, my dad could have stepped in and dealt with this a long time ago, would he have the audacity to ask his father to pay his fees? Because he sued his father's government. I'm wondering if we lean into this theory, which again, unconfirmed reports, this is an internet theory, would he have the audacity to ask his father to take care of his fight?
Yes. Yeah.
Because the court ordered him to pay not only his attorney's fees, but
the government as well.
The government's
Yeah.
attorney's fees, and that was a significant amount of money.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, there'll be two reasons. Yes, I mean, the answer to your question is that, you know, he knows no shame. And the banker dad is what, you know, which you remember when he won't talk to me. Well, he did get
The Queen went to Charles and said, Harry says you won't take his calls, and the King says, I'm not an ATM.
Yeah,
Remember that story?
That's right. And he says, my dad's cut me off financially. And you go, you're 40 years old.
Yeah.
Pay for yourself.
You still get an allowance?
Yeah, pay for yourself. You know, what money he's got is inheritance from Diana. I believe he inherited £34 million from her, which is a lot of money, $50 million or something. And he inherited about £7 to £9 million from his great-grandmother, the Queen Mother.
Will we ever know if he inherited money from Prince Philip or Queen Elizabeth? I think we have access to Prince Philip's like by the time I'm dead.
Yeah.
I think Prince Philip's are, for some reason, secret for a significant amount of time.
Yeah, they are. And his finances, his whole finances were always
Is it because of the
confidential
secret children they claim he might have?
No, I think it's basically that the Queen paid for him. You know, that he actually probably didn't have very much money at all. But did he leave money to Harry? Did the Queen leave Harry? Philip, knowing Philip, you know, he probably didn't. You know, Philip didn't suffer fools gladly. If you got on the wrong side of him, you know, he would cut you off and ask Fergie. You know, Fergie's only back in the royal fold now because Philip's dead. Philip just wouldn't have her anywhere near the royal family.
Not those toes.
No, exactly right. So, did Philip leave him any money? I doubt that. Did the Queen? I expect she probably did. I mean, she was a nice lady, and she would have said, "Well, You know, he's broken my heart, but he's still my grandson. But I wonder if the amount that she was planning to leave him got somewhat reduced. But the point is, you know, we can account for what 40, if you include the Queen, maybe £50 million, 60 million bucks, something like that. It sounds like a lot until you think they've got this huge house.
Security is 2 million. Is that right? Is security 2 million a year?
and that the house, they're running the mortgage
Till 2050, they're paying that off.
Yeah. And that's why they've been busy hemorrhaging staff, getting rid of staff left, right, and centre. I mean, it was so ridiculous, wasn't it? About 2 months ago, suddenly there's this big story that they've hired 12 superpower executives, highly paid executives, to run a kind of royal style court in California. And about a month later, they start firing them all because they suddenly realize they can't really afford them, because all of these 12 people would have been on $200,000 a year minimum.
Yeah, one of their former employees worked for Bill Gates. I'm sure that was a cheap hire.
Exactly.
One of the richest men in the world.
Yeah. So I suspect until recently, Harry at least, maybe Meghan as well, was delusional about his wealth. You know, this is a man who's never had to think about money in his life.
Started paying his phone bill, his own phone
Yeah,
bill, 5
exactly.
years ago.
This is a whole new world for him, and he has no concept of running out of money. You know, members of the royal family don't run out of money. So now that he's paying his own way, he hires all these people and then thinks, oh my God, I'm not sure I can afford this. So I think economy is in the air at Montecito, and I think a certain panic is in the air as well.
I agree. I've sensed that through Meghan's launches, the air of desperation. There is a story on Radar that says Meghan Markle fuming over yet another A-lister snub, and why she's convinced Kate Middleton was behind the latest celeb rejection. So it says that Meghan is fuming that Dolly Parton turned her down for a chance to appear on her much-mocked podcast and TV series that now we know no one watched. And RadarOnline.com can reveal she has told pals they don't want to risk Dolly's reputation and her popularity by associating with me. Radar source said Meghan truly believes there's a quiet effort to chip away at her image, and she suspects that Kate is orchestrating it from the background. A Netflix spokesperson has firmly denied Parton was approached to appear on Markle's TV show, but Radar sources say different. And for Markle, each rumor of a celebrity rejecting her feels like confirmation of a larger campaign against her ambitions, their source said. Here's what I will say to that. I heard that Reese Witherspoon denied Meghan's original Archetypes podcast because Reese Witherspoon does love Catherine. I don't think that Catherine is doing anything intentionally. Like you, I agree that Catherine doesn't even know they exist anymore. But it is my understanding that there are some celebrities that want to stay on the winning side of history, and that's being able to still engage with the British royal family.
With great respect, not you, but this is a kind of American view of the way the British royal family operate. They don't operate like this. They're not two-bit celebrities. You know, Kate, by the way, has got a lot more important things to do than muck around trying to screw up whether or not Dolly Parton appears on Meghan's podcast. Never in a month of Sundays did Kate have anything to do with that. So you can forget about that. All of this stuff about, did the king, deliberately cut William out in order to send Meghan a message. No. They just don't operate like this. Then they're not like Hollywood stars.
Well, you have to understand that Americans, to us, Princess Diana is the most prominent royal, and Diana was like that. Diana was highly manipulative.
She was a bit like that.
She was a schemer. And having Diana be the most prominent royal to us is why I think that's why our minds go there.
You're right. She was a media player. Apart from her, there never really has been one. And Kate, definitely not. 100%.
No. And Harry and Meghan are like that.
Well, they are. They have to be now. Well, Harry's been drawn in. Harry didn't used to be like that, but he's been drawn into it by his Machiavellian Hollywood celebrity wife. Now, Kate was never like that. I mean, Kate is battling cancer, for God's sake. You think that while she's battling cancer, she's bringing up her kids, you know.
Although I will say, People magazine today have a headline that the woman that just left Catherine, after 15 years, they noticed that she just unfollowed Meghan on Instagram.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not saying that Kate and William, you know, don't keep an eye on Meghan. I mean, we all
Against their will, I think that they have to.
But in the end, for Kate and William, and the King and everybody in this country, really, Harry and Meghan are kind of a sort of slightly irritating, not particularly important soap opera on the west coast of America. They don't really matter that much. The reason Dolly Parton, if she was asked onto Meghan's podcast.
Which my sources say she was.
Okay, all right.
You.
So the reason Dolly Parton turned...
Broke right here on Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered.
Okay,
Meghan denied
in
it.
that case, I apologise for even questioning the story. Of course it's true. No, seriously, I imagine it is true. The reason she didn't go onto Meghan's podcast is the same as no other A-list celebrities will go anywhere near her, like Reese Witherspoon. No A-list Hollywood...
And Beyonce's team will give Meghan a ticket in the nosebleed seats, but why is Beyonce never pictured with Meghan Markle?
Because she's toxic.
Yeah.
They don't want to be with her. They don't want to be beside her. Look at that last podcast series that she made, Confessions of a Female Founder. The biggest celebrity, the superstar they had on was Beyonce's mother. That was it.
Mom.
That was it. I mean, she can't get any famous people to be anywhere near her. They don't want to be. You know what Hollywood celebrities are like. You don't hang around with toxic people. It might be bad for your career. So I'm afraid Meghan's in Siberia as far as Hollywood's concerned.
True. So when Mariah Carey said yes to her, because she did have some...
Yeah, but that was before Meghan really started to fall off a cliff.
Is that celebrities going, I'm going to give her a shot? And now that they've seen the shot, they're like... Yeah. I'd rather not go there.
Yeah, the Archetype series, that was when Meghan, before, you know, the Meghan castle, if you like, started to crumble. That was before all of the bullying stories, the bullying story in the Hollywood Reporter, in Vanity Fair, where people, and all the failed business bids and
all the coverage was Netflix is giving them all these millions, Spotify is giving them all these millions.
So that was in those days, and it's a fascinating contrast to make between the kind of people she got on the first podcast series, Archetypes, and the kind of people she got on the next. I mean, she's got a load of no marks on the second series, didn't she?
Yeah. And there were people that would make sense in the entrepreneurial space. Yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow is a A-lister that has a lifestyle brand. Jessica Alba is another one that left acting because she has a super huge Honest Beauty products, Honest Baby products. There are multiple examples of Hollywood stars that have lucrative companies that could have sincerely talked. Martha Stewart could have talked Meghan through her brand, but Meghan had on like her girlfriend who has the shampoo company that Meghan invests in.
Yeah. It's a bit like that whole sort of. And for this edition of Confessions of a Female Founder, I couldn't quite get Beyonce, but I did get her mum. I mean, it's pathetic, isn't it?
It is. And there is talk in this article, too, about how John Travolta has distanced himself.
I read that as well. It's exactly what's going on. Hollywood is distancing itself from Meghan Markle. You can see it before your very eyes. She's toxic. She's become toxic.
Well, I'm so curious to see who's actually already shot that show, because I wonder if every time somebody says it was renewed for season 2, Kevin and I are going to beat this drum until we're gone. They shot those seasons back to back.
Yeah.
And so it was already in the can. I'm sure that it was such an investment that they said, Harry and Meghan were such an investment that they said, let's just milk this for all it's worth in this small time frame we have as this contract is expiring.
Yeah.
Do you think that the people that are on there will regret it, or is it the kind of low level celebrity like Chrissy Teigen where she'll take any press? All press is good press for Chrissy Teigen.
Yeah, it could be. It may well be the same people we saw in the first series, because the second series was shot simultaneously. It's an old technique, you know. While you can film two series at once. You just shoot the same scene again, maybe with a different person, or maybe with the same people.
Agree with us, disagree with us? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Kevin O'Sullivan, I enjoyed your company immensely, and you can watch me on The Political Asylum with Kevin O'Sullivan Mondays and Thursdays on Talk. And this weekend I'm on What Just Happened.
Well, just happened. That's on Friday night, and will be available on YouTube as of Saturday morning.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.